bring in House Oversight Committee member, Arizona Congressman Andy Biggs. Congressman, so great to see you. I know that under Comer, that a number of different bills have been introduced as part of this DOGE effort, but ultimately, does Congress really take the reins by, one, cutting spending, and day one using the Congressional Review Act to roll back all of these rules and regulations that last minute Joe Biden has tried to put in place?
I'm glad you asked me that question. I actually have legislation prepared that would say we're going to streamline the CRA, which is the Congressional Review Act. And what would happen there is, Dagan and David, this is amazing. If you were to set aside all the rules and regs that the Biden administration has implemented just in the last year alone, the total savings would be $1.7 trillion. Think about that. Think about that. So, Congress can do that, and I'm glad that I'm on oversight where we're going to be working on that, because this is where the rubber meets the road. If we're going to start bringing fiscal sanity, then we're going to have to address all of the spending programs that are spending us into oblivion.
Well, Congressman, let's get down to brass tacks. Elon Musk posted on X a 4-minute interview. It was about 2 decades old with Milton Friedman. And Milton was talking about how to reduce 14 departments down to four essentials: Defense, State, Treasury, maybe HHS. The bottom line is we hear the president-elect now talking about getting rid of Department of Education. Would it be possible to pare down the number of departments to something near what Milton Friedman had in mind?
Well, I don't know that you can get down to 4, but you can certainly get rid of the Department of Education. You can certainly attack and streamline and constrain the EPA and a lot of these other agencies. Yeah, I mean, why commerce? I mean, that's one that we say, why commerce? So yeah, you could actually shrink a lot of these down. But don't forget, you have things like the Department of Homeland Security, which is just a massive department that's inefficient and, in my opinion, has lost its way in so many ways.
Yeah, it made us more insecure than secure.
Yeah, all of these bureaucrats need to stop believing that this is some sort of higher calling or sacred duty. It's a job, which they haven't been doing for years and years and years, showing no utter responsibility the way somebody in the private sector would. But to shift gears to this, talking about not doing your job, Democrat Senator Sheldon Whitehouse in denial about what the Department of Justice has been up to. Either that or he is hiding under a rock and has been for at least the last 4 years. Listen to this, Congressman.
Can we start with the beginning big lie in all of this, which is the question of whether DOJ was weaponized? Trump is a criminal. And if who got caught and had to do all sorts of wheedling and weaseling to get out of it where he could, and in other places was either found guilty or found liable. So, behind all of this is an effort to scrub out the underlying fact that the guy that they're supporting, the head of this cult, is in fact a criminal.
Just to get your reaction to that, Congressman, because do you want to go back to the beginning of the Russia collusion hoax under Hillary Clinton's campaign? We could stay here all day talking about the weaponization of the Department of Justice because of Democrats.
Absolutely. This guy is so out of touch. I mean, they protected Hillary Clinton and hid her wrongdoings. They made up stuff. They relied on campaign oppo research to go after Donald Trump for years. Look, they actually did an impeachment even based on that same bad oppo research. And the bottom line is DOJ needs to be cleaned out. At the same time, they wouldn't go after Joe Biden, which Joe Biden and the Biden family, all that money that flowed into them from China. I mean, it's the goods. We have the goods in oversight, and we've presented them, but they're not going to ever do anything about it.
By the way, he also called the majority of voters cultists. He's talked about the head of the cult is in fact a criminal. The cult is more than 50% of all voters, 42% of the voters in his state of Rhode Island. So, I mean, they really have an awakening that hasn't happened yet. But I want to switch to something that happened on MSNBC, at least on their website. They're scrambling to cover up a headline. It was written yesterday after Laken Riley's killer was sentenced that read, "Laken Riley's killer never stood a chance," as though we're supposed to have pity on the guy. After righteous outrage, they did change it to something that's not a lot better. Quote, "The guilt of Laken Riley's killer was never in doubt." But you saw where they were going at first. What is happening to the woke mentality in America after the election?
Well, they've really gone off the cliff all the way. A lot of them have. But we couldn't be surprised that that was MSNBC. And some of the left, the liberals, who are maybe old-fashioned liberals, are saying, we went way too far. The left went way too far, and now they're paying the price for it. And that's why MSNBC is so incredible. That's why CNN is so incredible. They're losing viewers. They're going to divest MSNBC. Who knows what that's going to even look like? It's because of things just like that where they don't face the reality. And the reality is that Laken Riley was the victim of just an almost inhuman criminal murderer. And they have the audacity to somehow say that he's been maltreated by the system that he broke into and that he murdered this poor young lady for. I'm just telling you, when I saw that, I said, they have lost their frickin' minds.
Yeah.
Well, to what David was talking about, Congressman, the Trump cult in Congress, in Senator Whitehouse's words, decided to stand up for victims like Laken Riley and all of the people in this nation who have been harmed by the wide open border, the very policy of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. That's what we stood up for. But final word on that.
Yeah, we're not a cult. We love this country. They're the cultists who won't leave the cult behind and come out and see the reality of the world. It's all emotion driven. It's all visceral on their side. And I tell you what, America's going to be better off. And 4 years from now, people are going to not even ever admit that they voted for Harrison Waltz because things are going to be so much better.
Well, we're so thankful for everything that we have. And we wish you a happy Thanksgiving next week as well. Thank you for being here.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Appreciate it.